Hi everybody, how you doing? It's me, your favorite United Kingdom YouTuber here, Waddles. The 1.17 update is less than a week away at this point, which is kinda crazy. The 1.17 update is adding an insane amount of new blocks to the game. New blocks are great and all, definitely, but how do you get them? If you're updating your world to 1.17, this is the comprehensive guide for you. In today's video, we're going to take a look at every single new block added in 1.17 and talk about how to get it. If you like today's video, leave a like, it would really help out. If you aren't subscribed, definitely subscribe. We're on that road to 1.5 subscribers. You definitely want to join it. And down in the comments, drop the block that you're most excited for. As a great prophet once said, let's go. We're going to start today's video like the alphabet, with the Amethyst. The Amethyst is one of the coolest things coming in the 1.17 update. Amethysts are actually going to be found generating around your world. You're going to be looking for things that look like this. This is an Amethyst geode. Now, Amethyst geodes are kind of rare. I mean, if you take a look around at this world, it's a 1.17 world, yeah, you can see a couple geodes in here, but at the same time, there's not like a crazy amount of these things. If you get lucky, you'll find one of these things cutting into one of the cave systems in your world. Amethyst geodes can generate basically anywhere under the ground. So the geode kind of has like a casing. You're going to want to break inside of the thing if you're looking for the amethyst. This is the block that you're looking for. It's a cracked block. It's called budding amethyst. Think of it as like a spawner block. Like you can't break it. If I were to mine that with a pickaxe, it's gone forever. So don't do that. Instead, if you're trying to get amethyst, you're going to have to wait around this thing. Maybe clear out the blocks around these budding amethyst blocks. Amethyst can grow on every single side as long as there's space. But give it time, wait around the geode, and eventually the amethyst will grow up. When it looks like this, you can mine it with a pickaxe. Then you'll have amethyst. Amethysts aren't the only thing that you can get from geodes though. No way. So this next thing, calcite, such an amazing block. It's going to be a little bit tricky to get a lot of, but it's really nice looking. Maybe like a good accent block on a build. If you want to get calcite, you're also going to have to find a geode. If you break through the layer of smooth basalt that wraps around a geode, you're going to find calcite. Geode sizes can vary. Like actually, this geode right here is like gigantic. This is one of the biggest geodes that I've ever seen. So on this one, I might be able to get a lot of calcite. If the geode is smaller, you're not going to get as much calcite. Calcite might be a little bit tricky to get. Finally, the last block that makes up the geode, smooth basalt. Smooth basalt is the outer layer of the geode. If you want smooth basalt, all you're going to have to do is find a geode and mine the stuff. This block also looks pretty good. If you're really excited about this block though, good news, that's not the only way to get it. There's an easier way to get smooth basalt. All you're going to have to do, go to the nether, mine basalt, put it inside of a furnace, put some fuel in there, give it a little bit of time, and the basalt is going to smelt up into smooth basalt. Sort of like sandstone smelting into smooth sandstone. I'm super excited about this change because it mixes so well with the normal basalt block. Like, look at this combination. It's flawless. If you've been following the 1.17 snapshots from the beginning though, then you know smooth basalt isn't the original one. Tuff used to generate around geodes. It doesn't anymore though. If you go deep enough in your world, you'll be able to find blobs of tuff generating. These blobs of tuff are going to generate anywhere in your world between Y0 and Y16. So like all the way at the bottom of the world. These patches of tuff are going to be pretty similar to the granite patches and andesite patches that you've been finding in your world for years. To be honest, if you're looking for the place that feels the most different in 1.17, the deepest part of your world is probably going to be the best bet. Generation doesn't change that much in 1.17, but down low, it changes a little bit more. Not only are you going to be able to find tuff down here, but you're also going to be able to find the more amazing block, deep slate. Deep slate will be generating down low in your world just like tuff will, below Y16. Now, from my experience, it seems that these deep slate blobs that generate down here are a little bit more common and also a little bit bigger. Like deep slate over there, deep slate over here, deep slate over there. And then I was only able to find tuff like right in this corner here. One big thing that you're going to want to remember about deep slate though. So if I mine this thing with my normal pickaxe, I don't get deep slate. I get cobbled deep slate, which actually is a little bit more useful. But if you want normal deep slate, like the smoother version, you're going to have to use a silk touch pickaxe and mine it like that. The difference is the texture and the placement. Normal deep slate can actually be rotated. The top texture looks pretty different from the side texture. Cobbled deep slate basically looks the same on every side. Cobbled deep slate is basically just like cobblestone. If you put cobblestone in a furnace and smelt it up, you'll get stone. If you put cobbled deep slate in a furnace and smelt it up, you'll get deep slate. If you go into a stone cutter with deep slate, like the normal stuff, nothing will happen actually. Instead, if you put cobbled deep slate inside of a stone cutter, you'll be able to get all of those amazing, so good looking deep slate block variants, other than the cracked ones. If you want cracked deep slate bricks, smelt the deep slate bricks in a furnace. You'll get the cracked ones. For building, cobbled deep slate is probably going to be the way to go because you can turn this stuff into polished deep slate, tiles, and bricks. Copper is a brand new ore coming to Minecraft in the 1.17 update. Now, copper should be actually pretty easy to find. Copper can generate anywhere in your world between Y0 and Y64, so basically like everywhere. And when you find it, it's going to be in small patches, sort of like all of the other ores. If you mine it with a normal pickaxe, you're going to get raw copper. If you silk touch it, you're going to get a copper ore block. If you turn the stuff into raw copper, you have a couple different options here. You could either go to a furnace and smelt it up and turn it into a copper ingot, or you could take none of this stuff over to a crafting table and turn it into a block of raw copper. This block of raw copper could then be broken back down later into raw copper and then smelted up into copper ingots. 1.17 is actually adding a bunch of new ores actually, kind of, but not really. So these are the new ores. They're all the same ores, just new versions of the ores, deep slate versions. If you want to find these things, you're going to have to go down low in your world. These ores can generate in your world, or at least some of them, but for these to generate, like let's say copper is going to have to try and generate where deep slate is, replace the deep slate, and then it'll be deep slate copper. All of these ores are identical to the normal ores. Like diamond is the normal diamond, coal, it's the normal coal. It's basically the same stuff, it just looks different. Copper blocks are one of the biggest things coming to Minecraft in 1.17. They look so good, they age in the world, they're really cool, they're going to be great for building. How do you get copper blocks? Well, to get copper blocks, first you're going to need to go down into the mines and find copper. You're going to need to find at least 9 copper ore. If you use fortune, you'll get more than 1 piece of raw copper from this thing, so definitely consider that. Get the raw copper, take it to a furnace and smelt it up. Then you're going to have to wait. You're going to need at least 9 copper ingots. Get 9 or more copper ingots, then go over to the crafting table and place them inside of the crafting table, kind of like you're making like an iron block or something like that. Then you're going to have the copper block. After that, you could take that block to the stone cutter and cut it down into cut copper or slabs or stairs. Let's say I wanted this block, I could do this right here, and there we go. Now I have cut copper and a normal copper block. Now if I want to keep this like this forever, I use a honeycomb on it. That's going to wax it. If I want it to turn to one of the other colors, I'm going to have to wait. There's no way to speed it up. You just have to wait around the copper block and it'll oxidize over time, slowly. Once the thing oxidizes, you could use honeycombs on it to keep it at whatever stage, maybe the second stage, third stage, or you could just keep waiting even more and let it oxidize all the way. In my opinion, I feel like the first one looks really good, the third one looks really good, and the fourth one looks great. But raw copper ore block isn't the only raw ore block coming to the game in this update. In 1.17, there'll be raw iron ore and a raw gold ore block as well. Getting these blocks is identical to the copper one. Raw ore in the crafting table in a grid like that, you'll get the iron one. Raw ore in the crafting table like that, you'll get the gold one. Pretty simple. And you can also break these ones back down too. Moving on, dripstone. Dripstone is a pretty interesting block. To get this stuff, you have a couple different options this time actually. You're gonna have to do one of 2 things. Option number 1, go under the ground and explore. In 1.17, dripstone can actually generate in small patches randomly under the ground. Basically anywhere under the ground too. So you could end up finding the stuff really high up, or you could end up finding the stuff really low down. I don't know if it's just me or what, but I feel like I've been finding a lot of the stuff more commonly in ravines. The generation definitely isn't tied to ravines or anything like that. Maybe it's just like easier to spot or something like that. But check this out. Down here, natural dripstone generated in the world, and then up there, natural dripstone as well. And the pointed dripstone, but we'll talk about that in a second. Caving isn't the only way though. On both Java and Bedrock Edition, a villager can actually sell you dripstone. So you're going to want to get the stonemason villager, then you're going to have to level the villager up 2 times. The villager needs to be at the journeyman level for this to work, which is the 3rd level, so there we go. On Java, we have a 2 in 7 chance to have this trade right there. Look at that, that worked out perfectly. 1 emerald for 4 dripstone blocks. So we could get it like that, we could just buy it from the villager. If I'm on Bedrock, I have better odds. It's going to be a 1 in 4 chance. Go into the caves, get lucky, find dripstone generating, mine it up, or go to a village, get a stonemason villager, level it up to the 3rd level, and see if you got lucky, and you have the trade. Check this out though, this is a good example. It does not only happen in ravines. Maybe it's just like more open spaces that I end up seeing it in, but it happened again right here. Dripstone, pointed dripstone generating in the cave, actually right under where we just were too, which is kind of crazy. That's how you could find the dripstone block. Pointed dripstone starts the same. You could go under the ground and find the stuff generating with dripstone on the ceiling and on the floor. When you find the stuff, mine it with a pickaxe, doesn't have to be so touch, and you'll get it. Or if maybe you're really unlucky, you can't find it generating, you could try and trade with the wandering trader for this stuff. The wandering trader can sell pointed dripstone. It's not going to happen every single time though. I'm not having very good luck at all actually. Not happening. There it is. 1 emerald for 2 pointed dripstone. Not worth it though, it's expensive. Just find it. Conveniently though, pointed dripstone is also one of those things that could be farmed. If you put a water source above a dripstone block in there's space, pointed dripstone can actually grow after a little while, which is pretty cool. Moving on, let's talk about some of the plants coming in this update. Big Dripleaf. This stuff is so cool. It's basically a parkour plant. If you stand on the stuff for long enough, it's actually going to break like that and you'll fall through it. It's really cool. How do you get this stuff? Well, to get this stuff, you're going to have to find small Dripleaf and bone meal it. When you bone meal it, it turns into big Dripleaf. Then you can just break it with your hand and you'll get the Dripleaf plant. So check this out. If I place this down and then I bone meal it, it's going to grow 1 block height per bone meal. So if I keep bone mealing it, it'll get taller. And then if I break it, like let's say right there, all of it breaks and I get 1 plant per piece that I grew. So that's great and all, but small Dripleaf. How do we actually get it? I have terrible news for you. The wandering trader, The Wandering Trader is the only way to get small Dripleaf plants in Minecraft 1.17. You're going to have to get lucky and have a Wandering Trader with the trade, which might take a while. You're just going to have to wait for it to spawn with the right trade. And then eventually, sooner or later, once this Wandering Trader comes to your base enough times and tries to trade with you, it will eventually have the small Dripleaf trade, but look at this. It does not happen every single time, so you're going to have to kind of be like patient here and get really lucky. There you go, though. 1 emerald for 2 small Dripleaf. It's a trade that you will have to take at least one time if you want to start getting this stuff. This stuff looks so good for decorating too, which makes this even worse because you can't really spread it. If you use bone meal on it, then all that happens is it grows up into big Dripleaf, which looks good still, don't get me wrong, and then you could get even more of this stuff, but it's not very great for like terraforming. The other stuff is definitely better for decoration, so that's kind of unfortunate. Yep, you're gonna have to trade a bunch of times if you want a bunch of this stuff. Azalea. These things are so cool. As of one of the more recent pre-releases, you can actually put these things inside of pots too, which just levels them up even more. They're like really, really awesome. How do you get them? Well, thankfully, you cannot trade for Azalea. Instead, for Azalea, you're going to need bone meal and moss blocks. When you bone meal a moss block, you're going to have a 5% chance for one of these flowering Azalea plants to grow on another moss block, and a 15% chance to have one of the normal Azalea bushes to grow. So that one right there. Once you actually get these things to grow, you can just break them with your hand. They break instantly like a sapling, and they look so good, like for decoration. Like, look at that. That's amazing. And it's going to be so easy to get these things too, especially if you have a bone meal farm. Literally perfect. Every sapling needs to look like that. Speaking of saplings, though, these things are kind of like saplings, which means they're going to drop from leaves. Both the flowering azalea leaf and the normal azalea leaf can actually drop these things when they're decaying as well, so that's another option. Speaking of the azalea leaves, how do we actually get these things? Well, that's pretty straightforward. We have the sapling, we place the sapling down, bone meal the sapling, it grows into an azalea tree. The sapling type doesn't matter. You could have the normal one or the non-flowering one. They grow into basically the same tree, different shapes of course, but the same tree. And then there are the leaves. You just use shears and you collect the leaves, and that's how it's done. If you chop down all of the wood inside of the tree, the leaves are going to start to decay just like they normally would with like a normal tree, and maybe you'll get more of the bushes. And these are like literally normal leaves too. Like you could also get 6 when they decay. But the wood, something seems off about that. A lot of this kind of stems from the moss block though. If you want to get more azalea saplings, moss block, bone meal, definitely the way to go. So how about the moss block? How do we get this thing? Well, we have 2 options. The first choice that we have, explore. We're going to have to go under the water and find a shipwreck. Then we're going to have to check the loot chest inside of the shipwreck. I think we're looking for this chest right here. Yep, that one right there. Look at that. Moss blocks right there. So you can find this stuff in shipwreck loot. Just to show you though, this back one, that's going to be the map and paper like normal. And this top one over here is going to be like the really good stuff. Pretty sure the front chest is going to be the chest that you're looking for every single time. It's back again, the Wandering Trader. So you could actually buy the moss block from the Wandering Trader, just like with the other trades. It's not going to be there every single time. You're going to have to get lucky, but it is an option. It's going to be 1 emerald for 2 moss blocks. A terrible deal. Complete and total ripoff, but here it is. 1 emerald for 2 moss blocks. The nice thing about the moss block, though, it can actually overtake other blocks. All you really need is 1 moss block to get everything started. So there's the moss block and then the moss layer. The moss layer is basically moss carpet. To get the moss layer, you have to bone meal the moss block. The lush caves seriously have so much content, it's kind of crazy. When they start generating in 1.18, this is going to be insane. So the next thing, another lush caves feature, glow berries. If you want glow berries, you have to find a mine shaft and look inside of the loot chest. Glow berries seem to be pretty consistent inside of these loot chests too. Honestly, it kind of shocks me. It seems like every single chest that I find has glow berries, for the most part. Not every single one will have it. Azalea trees come with not 1, but 2 brand new types of leaves, which is pretty cool, 2 saplings, but they also come with another new thing, a brand new type of dirt too. If you bone meal an azalea bush into a tree and then dig below it, you're going to find a brand new type of dirt, rooted dirt. Now, when you do this process, it seems that only 1 rooted dirt forms. That's going to be directly below where you actually grew the sapling. Like over here, I grew a few more. If I dig below there, there's rooted dirt. And then there's just normal dirt. And then same thing over here, 1 piece of dirt and normal dirt. But it's a new type of dirt. But that's not the only way to get the brand new rooted dirt block. In 1.17, you'll also be able to trade with the Wandering Trader for rooted dirt. Now, this is going to be just like all of the other trader trades that we've talked about today. It won't be there every single time, but when it's there, you'll have it there. It's not going to be a very good price, though. It's literally trading emeralds for dirt here. Like, literally, come on. One of you has to have it. Sooner or later, we'll get it. There we go, right there. You have it. 1 emerald for 2 pieces of rooted dirt. That's a great deal. I mean, I can't lie though, rooted dirt is actually pretty nice looking. It's unfortunate that it's going to be pretty hard to get in 1.17 because this stuff would look really good for like, imagine like a pig pen floor or something like that, like any kind of animal farm area. Like rooted dirt looks really, really good. So I honestly thought this was a bug in the first snapshot, but I guess it's still here. Check this out. If I use a hoe on rooted dirt, gigantic floating roots. So if you want the hanging root item for decoration in 1.17, hoe the rooted dirt and you get this gigantic root. Like, what is this thing? Like, this is insane, right? Like, it's a monster. Like, compared to all of the other floating items, like everything. Look at how big it is. I mean, literally a block and hanging roots. What? Hanging roots are only good for terraforming, though. They go on the bottom of a block, they hang out of the block, and they don't really do anything else. And if you break them with your hand, they're gone forever. Before you light them up, the caves are obviously going to be dark in the new update, but there is a new glowing plant that you'll find generating all over the underground, randomly, a little bit more rarely, but all over the place. Glow lichen. If you're looking for glow lichen and you're trying to get it in 1.17, go under the ground into the caves and just look around. Hopefully, eventually, you'll find it generating on the wall. If you want to bring it home, don't break it with your hand. If you break it with your hand, it's gone. Instead, you're going to want to use shears. If you use shears on the stuff, then you can bring it back over to your base, and you can actually use bone meal on it to spread it. Bone meal will spread glow lichen. Glow lichen will never spread on its own. Glow lichen has a light level of 7, it can be placed on land or under the water, and it can be placed on any side of a block. It's pretty cool. Right near the end of the list here, we have powder snow. Powder snow is going to be pretty tricky to get in 1.17, to be honest. At first, you're going to need to get a lot of iron. Then you're going to need to turn that iron into cauldrons. Then you're going to have to be patient and wait for it to actually rain. But you have to be in a biome where it actually snows. So instead of rain, snow. So somewhere cold or like really high up in the world. Place the cauldrons down on the ground in the open air, like no blocks above it, and then just wait. Slowly, these cauldrons are actually going to fill up. The villagers can work at it, it doesn't matter. Slowly, the cauldrons will fill up with powder snow, and then once they're full all the way, you can use a bucket to take the powder snow out of the cauldron. Ah, there we go, there we go. Okay, so we have one layer right there. That's partially full. When a cauldron fills up all the way, that's what it's going to look like. If you try and use a bucket on a partially filled cauldron, nothing happens. It doesn't work. Powder snow is pretty cool. It's like a trap block. It comes with a new effect, freezing. This whole like chilly view, you can actually use it to convert skeletons into strays too. That's cool. But it's going to be so hard to get like a lot of in 1.17. You're going to need like a lot of patience. Glow sacks are actually going to be surprisingly useful in 1.17. In 1.17, you'll be able to use glow sacks for glowing item frames and those really cool glowing signs. If you want glow sacks, you're going to need to find glow squid. Glow squid actually have some pretty interesting spawning mechanics. I think they were added in the third pre-release of 1.17. For a glow squid to spawn, it needs to be underwater in darkness and within 5 blocks of a natural stone block. So that could be like granite, it could be normal stone, it could be like andesite even. It just has to be a stone that naturally generates in the world. And if I remove my night vision, dark. Completely dark. Like this glow squid spawned in here naturally under the ground and just some random lake here in the complete darkness. So underwater in darkness within 5 blocks of natural stone. That's how they spawn. When you find a glow squid, take it out. You'll get 1 to 3 glow sacks. Then you could use those for whatever you're trying to do. With looting though, you could get more glow sacks, so definitely recommend that. 1.17, it's clearly adding a lot of blocks, like seriously so many. That's how you get basically every single block in the 1.17 update. Now there are a couple more things like the spyglass, the lightning rod, but those are craftable things. Get copper or whatever you need to craft those things and you'll be good to go. What's your favorite thing in 1.17? Once the update drops next week, I'll have a video going over every single thing added in that update, so definitely subscribe. You won't want to miss that. New survival stuff starting soon too. Bill Geek, A Johnson 6494. Thank you so much for the support. Until next time, it's been me, your boy. Goodbye.